Hello, friends, fellow rock and roll enthusiasts. It's Uncle Larry. You're never going to guess what I finally found. Come on. Freebird, man! The Mace 320T 212 combo. 1975. The actual amp the Skynyrd boys used. I'm going to play a couple licks here in a minute. I swear to God, it really does sound like Skynyrd. It's got pre and post gain, and you can get... This amp's not quite running 100%. It needs some love, but it sounds really good. The pre and post gain allows you to get pretty comfortable overdrive at lower volumes, even though this is a 160 watt 6 power tube monster. So there you go. All right, I'll show you. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's been a while since we had, made a thing out of that. I've been sort of downplaying the hello, friends thing. Well, guys, hope everybody's doing great. It's just Uncle Larry with a little check-in. I just cracked an ice cold flavor capsule, and I'm messing around with some guitars and amps like always. Uncle Larry's been doing a lot of hornswaggling lately. That's what I always called it. You might call it horse trading, but I call it hornswaggling. So lots of guitars and amps coming through. Buying and selling, and here's one that's probably going to be on the pile. This is 64 J50. It's not the one that I've had for a while. This is a new one. I just got in a trade, and I'm going to string it up with some 13s to see what it does. I can't imagine that I would need two 64 J50s, so this one's probably going to be up for grabs if anybody wants it. I hope you enjoyed my Lynyrd Skynyrd moment there. I grew up on that shit. That music was a huge influence on me when I was a little boy. I've probably told you before, but let me remind you, I have a lot of older siblings, and I looked up to them like you do when you're a little kid. And my older brother Mike went off to college, and he's 7 years older than me. And I remember every time he'd come home from college, he would tell me about some new music he was listening to, and I would just go fucking off on a tangent listening to it. He turned me on to the Doors. He turned me on to Steely Dan. Turned me on to Lynyrd Skynyrd. All he had to do was tell me that they died in a plane crash, and I was all in when I was a little boy. I was like, they did what? And I started listening to that shit, and he turned me on to some really cool music. I just saw him a couple days ago up in Cleveland, my dear brother Mike, who I love to pieces. The only normal one of us 5 siblings, I always said. Great dude, He's got 2 boys of his own. But man, he turned me on to Skynyrd when I was a young lad, and no regrets. I've enjoyed listening to that music my whole life. The first 7 albums, you know, the pre-plane crash years are my favorites. Ronnie Van Zant era, you know. I love that shit. I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. Okay, we might have something here, friends. Might have something. We might have something. I've been running around all day today, getting a bunch of errands done. I got a bunch of. We got Vince Gill gigs at the Ryman in Nashville, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The old Opry, you know, where the Grand Ole Opry used to be. And that'll be fun, you know. And I got a bunch of sessions. I did last night. I got all studious and I laid out my next 2 months of sessions. Like I still keep track of my sessions and my schedule on an old school piece of notebook paper because I'm super old school. And every once in a while I have to sit down and really organize that, like call back all the people who've been trying to reach me for sessions and trying to get everything organized. And, oh, you said you were on hold for so-and-so days. Oh, did I? It's always that. But I got it all laid out for the next 2 months. It's always nice to have like a bunch of work on the horizon. I think all musicians are wired to feel comfortable when you look ahead and you see you've got a bunch of gigs coming up. See, that's instilled in me since I was first started this shit. All musicians are paranoid that they're never going to work enough. You could have all the money in the world, and if you have a blank month on your calendar, you think you're failing somehow when you're a musician. Unless you're like some people we know who have YouTube channels that make hate videos about working musicians that don't have a job or ever do any gigs or sessions. Unless you're one of those guys, I'm not going to mention any names. Unless you're one of those guys, the natural tendency of a musician is to be nervous if there's no, gigs on the horizon. It's a nice feeling to know you got a bunch of stuff coming up and that you're busy, That's just how we're all wired. I know guys that have been doing this for fucking 30 years that are really well established musicians, and if they have a slow month, they start to panic. I used to do that, but I don't do that anymore. I just have learned to trust. I've tried to kill my career several times, and it won't die. And I have learned to trust that if I have a slow month, that don't mean shit. The next month will be raging. See, and I don't even do sessions from home like all these other guys do. Like, I'm the only Nashville session guy that doesn't do remote recording from his own house. Like, you can't send me tracks. Like, every other guy has a home studio set up where people can send them tracks, and they do a lot of work that way. I don't even do that. I'm the only guy. I never wanted that. I never wanted to do that. I don't want to make music with anybody that I'm not in the room with. I don't care how much money it costs me. I just want to be in front of the people I'm supposed to be playing for, like in the room with them. Is that so wrong of me? But all my buddies make a ton of money doing that. They do remote tracks for people. People send them tracks and they put guitars on. See, I couldn't do that. I mean, I could do it, but I wouldn't want to. What would ended up happening if I tried doing that is I would put way too much shit on there. I would be worried, like, well, what if they need this? Oh, what if they need this? And then I'll put 18 tracks on a song that would have only sufficed with one, That's what I do. I'm a bit of an overachiever. But if I'm in the room with somebody and it's their record and I put one track on and they love it and they say next song, I'm like, fuck yeah, next song. That's how it goes. Yeah, it was a nice guitar, I can already tell. It's got a lovely neck. Classic mid-60s Gibson neck, and it's still got the wide nut that we all like, the 1 11/16 nut. The year after this is when they ruined all the Gibsons by going to the 1 9/16 nut. This is still a wide nut one. We call it the last of the good ones, friends. Before they narrowed the nut width and they fucking ruined all their guitars. Why did they do that? Across the board, the electrics and the acoustics, in mid-1965, Gibson made a global choice to narrow the width of all their guitars from 1 11/16 right here to 1 9/16. I mean, that shit had been working for them for 50 years, and they decided to change it. I don't know why. What caused them to do that? But, you know, when I was a kid first learning about vintage guitars, my whole thing was like, wow, why is a 1966 Gibson 335 half the dough of a 64? I never understood that. And then my friend Bubba was the one that told me, well, it's because nobody likes the narrow nut width. So, you know, the last of the, you know, quote unquote good Gibsons was early 1965. And then they even did it on the basses. It was like a global choice by the company to narrow the nut width. I don't know, they were trying to get with the times or something. Getting all skinny with the necks. But I don't know why they did that. It was really strange. But they never fucked with the pickups too much. Like a 66 335 has basically the same pickups as a 64 does, tonally. The pickups are still good, but a lot of players are not into that narrow nut width. You know, some guys like it. I'm not saying it's a total loss. Like Larry Carlton played a late 60s 335 and seemed to do just fine with it. His was a 68, I reckon. So it's all this shit. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, friends. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. That's the truest statement of all time. I mean, I might think something is fucking super fucking cool, and you guys might think it's bullshit. That's just the way it goes. And vice versa. I am firmly entrenched in the belief that all acoustic guitars should have 13s now. Once I've discovered the joy of this, I wish I would have discovered it years ago. Not to mention this guitar, when I first got it, had the dreaded coated strings on it that I absolutely loathe. Uncle Larry is not a fan of coated strings. He's not a fan of jumbo frets. He's not a fan of what else? There's a bunch of stuff. Modeling equipment. He's not a fan of what else? A few things. But I like most stuff. You know, if it's cool, I'll take it. Damn, listen to that low end, friends. Okay. You've got your classic ceramic bridge there with adjustable height. Cool. It's got a lot of these mid-60s J50s and J45s have what I call a sort of tanky sound, if you know what I'm saying. Kind of a rubbery, kind of somewhat scooped in the mid-range, but with extra bottom. Sort of warm, tanky sound. And this one's definitely got it. Total stone sound. I'm gonna raise this action just a little bit. It's a little on the low side. And with this handy adjustment, you can actually do that on these, which is amazing. Jack this up a little bit. Let's see what we got. Man, just amazing. Just a little tweak to the action just made such a difference. Clean the whole thing up. Yeah. Yeah, this is sick. This is gonna be great. Somebody looking for a cool guitar, here it is. $5 grand with the original beat up alligator soft shell case. Let me know, friends. Very cool. Let's see, what else can I show you? What else can I show you? We've been doing a lot of other shit today too. Here, what else? I guess that's it for now. I guess if anybody's coming out to the Vince Gill gigs this weekend, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I always know the homeschoolers because they're always wearing the appropriate getup. All right, friends. I'll see you later. I'll check in with you again real soon, friends. Bye-bye.